Malik Willis entered April as the number one QB to most people, and that was because of his ultimate potential and rawness as a true athlete, but drawbacks as a real passer. So when the Tennessee Titans grabbed him in the third round, that was one of the best value picks in the entire draft. So take a seat, sit back, and most importantly, relax as we take a film breakdown approach to see how Malik Willis can elevate this roster if he does improve his faults, and how he can just become Tennessee's future. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? I'm Tyler Coker, and I'm your host for today's episode of Today with Tyler. I hope you enjoy. First, I'll give a little on the physical profile of Willis that made media draft drool. He is 6'1", 219 pounds, which is a solid build for a quarterback. And while there's no official 40-yard time for him, he's said to have run a 4.37 at Auburn in his sophomore year, which is absolutely insane, and would have ranked 7th among wide receivers this year. For reference, the unofficial times of Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray would sandwich Willis if he truly runs a 3.37, making him the second fastest quarterback in the entire NFL. While game speed is a little bit different than a testing 40, Willis is still extremely fast on tape and very physical, breaking 146 tackles in his college career. Now, let's look at the factors that made him slide into the third round. First, he ranked first in big-time throws and was given an above-average grade by PFF on balls outside the boundaries. He still showed flashes of inability to read the leverage of a corner on his intended receiver outside the boundaries. He often threw it to the wrong side of the receiver, like in this play where the ball should be landed on the back shoulder, but instead it nearly gets intercepted. These throws are fairly common, and he occasionally shows inaccuracy on these fades as well, missing the target that he inaccurately decided upon. These inaccuracies are often compounded with Willis missing a defender, which led to one of his 3 interceptions against Ole Miss. One last accuracy comes when Willis throws without anticipation, since he often rushes his form and throws off target, trying to use his arm strength to make up for a lack of anticipation, which limits any yards after catch if it's hit on target. The biggest issue with Willis isn't his accuracy, however, since he does also show accuracy at times. It's his ability, or apparent lack thereof, to read defenses. As was seen in the play earlier, Willis often lacks anticipation, relying on his arm instead to fit windows and tight windows. And without anticipation, as said with multiple quarterbacks on this podcast, Willis won't survive at the next level. He does understand on occasion that he can't throw without anticipation, and his hesitation causes him to risk the play in order to extend it and find an open receiver, like when he risked a safety just to hit a flat against ULM. He often panics as well, choosing to miss anticipatory throws or waiting split seconds longer for a throw to be available, and then choosing to run around instead. There are also times where he just completely misses the primary open target, like missing a wide open slot receiver between 3 zones, and then showing great anticipation with his next read, which encapsulates the inconsistency of Willis's tape. Added to the inconsistencies are the inevitable rookie mistakes that all of his colleagues will make as well. He overthrows simple things like a dump off to a running back into the waiting arms of a linebacker, and he also has a slight desire to play hero ball, which can't really be blamed on him since his surrounding personnel at Liberty struggled mightily. That's something we can't leave out, but that will need to be ironed out behind Ryan Tannehill for another year or two. Unfortunately, there are a lot of important drawbacks, but given a year or two of practice with NFL coaching and endless film to study, Willis is far from a lost cause. Now, let's look at how Malik Willis could possibly save the Titans from their doom of first and second round exits and elevate their roster even further. The first and most obvious trait of Willis is his running ability. Not only is he fast and tough, but elusive as well, and always stands as a threat on the ground until the ball is completely out of his hands. When he needs to escape the pocket, Willis is elusive and fast enough to create yards out of a dead play, which brings immense value to any offense. He also has good vision for running lanes, being able to spot gaping holes and attack them to move the chains and take free yards the defense gives him to stop a pass. When you have such a dynamic runner, they often drop their eyes and immediately decide to run once flushed, but Willis can keep his eyes downfield to always watch for an open receiver, ensuring that the secondary can't bail to stop the scramble. His arm strength, which is elite and stands out on tape, doesn't falter when he fades away from his throws under pressure, nor when he's running, which only adds to the dynamic playmaking ability for Willis if he can prove himself as a starter. He also flashes on accuracy off balance, which is crucial in his playstyle and allows him to actually utilize his ground threat in the passing game rather than it just being an asset. His flashes of accuracy aren't limited to broken plays, however, and he shows great flashes, especially down the boundary, when his pocket is clean, which, to be fair, was rare at Liberty, but won't be as rare in Tennessee. Despite his common struggles to understand the defense in front of him, Willis would every now and then flash a great read on a defense, or even just an average one that he would be expected to make immediately, like seeing wide open targets before getting sacked anyway because it's Liberty. Liberty also let him run a pro-style concepts, which showcased potential to progress through reads to checkdowns or leave his primary read to still find a completion in structure, which is extremely important when projecting him to the NFL and gives him a lot of potential. If the Tennessee Titans want to open the Super Bowl window, they have afforded themselves the time to do so with Malik Willis. He needs to be developed, and that's not going to be an easy process. But by taking him in the third, you're giving him time to develop instead of making him a first-round quarterback who immediately has pressure to start. And while Ryan Tannehill wasn't the fault of the 3 interceptions in the AFC playoff game, which I broke down when it happened, he still showed his limitations and how he truly hinders the Titans' offense when it's all put on his shoulders. So if the Titans could get a dual threat quarterback or someone who could really make those big-time plays, nobody's going to want to be able to play the Titans in January and February. It's just not even a question. If Willis is developed, they're going to be a dynastic contender for the Super Bowl and someone nobody ever wants to see on their schedule. So hopefully Mike Vrabel and the Titans take this very seriously and try to develop him because, as we know, Ryan Tannehill won't, but in the end, he is such an important factor to making this team contend after building such a good roster for so long that it would be a shame to see his potential go to waste. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed.